Imagine Europe in 1916, a continent in the clutches of the First World War. A time when nations were locked in a deadly struggle, each vying for dominance and survival. The geopolitical landscape was a complex web of alliances and rivalries. Central to this was the Triple Entente, a pact between Russia, France, and Britain, standing firm against the Central Powers of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Italy, initially allied with the Central Powers, had switched sides a year earlier, adding another layer to the intricate geopolitical puzzle. The Great War, as it was then known, was a turning point in the evolution of warfare. It was a clash of the old and the new, a time when age-old tactics met the devastating potential of industrialized warfare. Trench warfare had become the grim reality of the battlefield. Miles upon miles of dugouts and fortifications stretched across the Western Front, a testament to the stalemate that the war had become. Technological advancements were rapidly changing the face of warfare. The use of artillery had become more prevalent, with shells raining down upon enemy lines in a deadly storm of steel. Machine guns, once a novelty, were now a common sight on the battlefield, their rapid fire cutting down waves of infantry. The introduction of tanks, although in their infancy, signaled a shift in how battles were fought. But despite these advancements, strategies remained rooted in the past. Officers, many schooled in the tactics of a bygone era, struggled to adapt to the new face of warfare. The result was often a costly human toll, as wave after wave of men was sent over the top, only to be mowed down by machine gun fire or obliterated by artillery. This was the world in 1916, a world on the brink of change, yet tragically stuck in the past. A world where the value of human life was often measured against territorial gain. This was the stage set for one of the bloodiest battles in human history, the Battle of the Somme. July 1, 1916, marked the first day of the Battle of the Somme. This day was meant to be the turning point in the Great War, a day when the Allies would break through the German front lines and change the course of history. The British and French forces, with their spirits buoyed by the promise of victory, launched an initial assault on the German trenches. Their plan was simple yet ambitious. A massive artillery bombardment, the likes of which the world had never seen, was meant to cleave open the German defenses, making way for the infantry to march through with little resistance. For 7 long days and nights, over 1.5 million shells rained down on the German lines. The earth shook, smoke filled the skies, and the roar of the guns was deafening. The belief was that nothing could survive such a barrage. Optimism ran high among the Allied ranks. Surely the German forces would be crushed, their morale shattered. But the German forces, hardened by 2 years of relentless war, were not so easily broken. They had anticipated an attack and were prepared. Their deep dugouts, some more than 30 feet below the surface, provided shelter from the storm of steel and explosives. As the bombardment ceased and the dust began to settle, the Germans emerged from their shelters, manned their machine guns and waited. The Allied infantry, expecting to find only the remnants of the German forces, advanced. Bayonets fixed, the soldiers marched towards the enemy lines, their hearts filled with courage and resolve. They were prepared to face the enemy, to fight, and, if need be, to die for their cause. However, the Germans were ready. As the first wave of Allied soldiers stepped into no man's land, the German machine guns roared to life. The day of blood and valor had truly begun. What was expected to be a decisive victory, however, was anything but. The Battle of the Somme was only just beginning, and it would prove to be one of the most grueling and costly battles in human history. The reality of the Battle of the Somme was far from the expected quick victory. The first day alone, July 1, 1916, saw the British forces face a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. The British Army suffered its worst single-day casualties in history, with nearly 60,000 men killed, wounded, or missing in action. These were not just numbers, but sons, brothers, fathers, and friends, each lost a separate world of grief. The artillery bombardment preceding the infantry attack, designed to obliterate German defenses, fell far short of its mission. Despite firing over 1.5 million shells, many were duds, failing to explode, while others simply churned up the battlefield, making it even more difficult for the infantry to advance. Then came the challenge of no man's land, the deadly ground between the opposing trenches. The British soldiers, heavily laden with equipment, had to navigate through a landscape turned into a lunar-like terrain by the artillery, all under a hail of machine gun fire and artillery shells. The German defenses proved to be far more resilient than anticipated. Their deep dugouts, some more than 30 feet underground, largely withstood the British bombardment. Once the attack began, the German soldiers emerged, largely unscathed, ready to man their machine guns and turn no man's land into a killing field. The reality of war in all its grimness was laid bare that day. The grand plan of a swift breakthrough, the underestimation of the enemy's fortitude, and the over-reliance on technology all came crashing down in the face of harsh battlefield realities. The first day of the Battle of the Somme ended in disaster for the Allies, marking the beginning of a long and bloody battle. The day of blood and valor was also a day of sorrow and loss, a stark reminder of the true cost of war. Despite the heavy losses, the Battle of the Somme continued for months. This was not a skirmish to be decided in a day or a week. This was a grinding, relentless campaign, a war within a war that stretched on through the summer and into the fall of 1916. As the weeks turned into months, the face of the battle began to change. The British introduced a new weapon to the battlefield, the tank. This massive, lumbering beast of steel and fire was unlike anything the world had seen before. It was hoped that these tanks would break the stalemate and turn the tide of the battle in favor of the Allies. In mid-September, the tanks made their debut at the Battle of Flers-Courcelette. However, their impact was less than hoped for. While these steel behemoths were an imposing sight, they were plagued by mechanical issues and struggled to navigate the crater-filled battlefield. Despite their introduction, the Battle of the Somme raged on. As the battle continued, strategies changed. The British began focusing on smaller, more attainable objectives, but even these smaller victories came at a high cost. The casualty count continued to rise, each day bringing fresh tales of heroism and horror. October and November saw heavy rains turning the battlefield into a muddy quagmire, making movement almost impossible. The soldiers fought not just against the enemy, but against the elements themselves. The conditions were horrific, but the battle pushed on, a testament to the tenacity and courage of the soldiers on both sides, and so the battle raged on, day after day, week after week, month after month. The Battle of the Somme was a war of attrition, a fight not just for territory but for survival itself. Each day brought new challenges, new horrors, and new acts of valor. After 141 days of brutal fighting, the Battle of the Somme finally came to an end. It was a battle that would leave a lasting mark on the world, a stark reminder of the horrors of war and a testament to the courage and resilience of those who fought. The Battle of the Somme left a significant mark on history. This engagement, spanning from July to November of 1916, was a turning point in the First World War, its outcome echoing through the decades that followed. The aftermath of the Battle of the Somme was devastating. The heavy casualties on both sides were unprecedented, with over 1 million men wounded or killed. This staggering number brought the harsh realities of war into sharp focus for those back home. The public reaction was one of shock and grief, as cities and villages across Europe mourned their lost sons, brothers, and fathers. The Battle of the Somme was also a catalyst for change in military strategy and technology. The high casualty rate underscored the limitations of trench warfare and the need for more effective strategies. This led to the development of new tactics and weapons, including the first use of tanks, marking a shift towards mechanized warfare. In the larger historical context, the Battle of the Somme was a defining moment of the First World War. It was a testament to the courage and resilience of the soldiers who fought, and a stark illustration of the destructive power of modern warfare. It changed perceptions of war, shifting the narrative from a romanticized vision of honor and glory to a grim reality of death and suffering. The battle's legacy continues to resonate today. It serves as a powerful reminder of the human cost of conflict, influencing our understanding of war and shaping our approach to conflict resolution. The Somme is more than a battlefield. It is a symbol of the sacrifices made by those who fight in the name of freedom and justice. The Battle of the Somme, a day of blood and valor, stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of war.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment down.